Rob Elliott starts in goal. It's his first Newcastle appearance since the 20th of March last year. It's his 50th for the club in all. Vernon Anita comes in right back in place of DeAndre Yedlin. Jamal Lascelles keeps his place in central defence, but he will be partnered by the returning Kieran Clark, who has recovered from that knee injury that kept him out for 6 weeks. Paul Dummett at left back. In central midfield again, John Joe Shelvey and Isaac Hayden. Matt Ritchie on the right-hand side, Christian Atsu on the left. Ayoze Perez comes into the starting 11 and he plays behind Alexander Mitrovic, who also comes into the team. Carl Darlow, DeAndre Yedlin, Chancellor Mbemba, Jan Gouffran, Jack Colback, Mo Diarmi and Daryl Murphy are the substitutes.
Eddie, what do you think of that then?
Well, I would never believe it if you didn't make any changes.
No, he likes to make a change or two, doesn't he?
Basically, more changes than Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, he does like to tinker about. He obviously wasn't too happy with what he's seen at Ipswich, and rightly so.
But the thing is, Johnny still picked Lascelles.
Yeah, and it's, I suppose, the fact that he made him skipper. He feels that he's got to stand by his skipper, I suppose, to a degree.
He's not good enough to be captain, John.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's his performance.
I would make Matt Ritchie captain.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. It'll be interesting to see who his skipper is. I'd be very, very surprised if Lascelles is captain next season. I mean, people might have different views on that, but I would be very surprised if Lascelles is skipper next year.
No, early on when you were talking about the goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Do you think Elliott's is better than Tim Krul? He's new Tim Krul, John.
I have to admit, when Tim Krul first broke into the side, he was exceptional.
He was great, man. I used to talk to the lad at the training ground. He's a smashing lad.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
He loves Newcastle, you know.
Yeah, but I have my doubts whether Tim Krul will be here next season.
Looks like he's settled. We have road now, like, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously back in Holland playing at this moment in time.
Antwerp.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he's here next year. I know that he had the injury and they sent him out on loan to get first team.
But he had trouble with injuries, didn't he? Some injuries,
Yeah, he had some bad. It was a bad injury that he had, similar to Rob Elliott. But I think they're top heavy with goalkeepers now, to be quite honest. They've got young Woodman who's up in Scotland at this moment in time. He's
a smashing keeper, John.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to develop into a top keeper as well. So they've got plenty of keepers.
His dad told me when he was in Newcastle. He told me, he says, my Freddie has got something that I never had. It was good pair of hands. That's what he said, honestly.
Well, it helps if you're a goalkeeper to have a good pair of hands, I suppose.
No, I mean, you get some goalkeepers know how to use their hands, and some goalkeepers don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had a good coach in his dad. I mean, his dad was a keeper and played at Charlton and one thing and another. So.
I mean, Darlow is a prime example. He gets the punch ball and he misses it.
Yeah,
he panics when he comes in.
Yeah, but he'll be disappointed tonight, the fact that he's been left out. Just when you think that you're going to guarantee promotion, well, hopefully guarantee promotion tonight, and he's not going to be there. He's got to settle for a place on the bench. But okay, it's part and parcel, I suppose. Benitez picks a side that he feels is going to be capable of going and getting a result. It'd be interesting to know other people's views on whether they feel Darlow's hard done by or not, but there you go, he's picked it, he's brought Rob Elliott back, and that's it.
Eddie, thank you very much indeed for your contribution this evening. We'll hear from one more Newcastle fan as we build up to a 7:45 kick-off this evening. It's Jim who's on the line. Hello, Jim.
Hi there.
Hey, Jim.
Firstly, can I say I am a season ticket holder, but unfortunately I won't be at the game tonight. Had a fall early in the day in South Shields Marketplace, and I'd like to express my deep thanks to the people who helped me, who couldn't have been kinder or more helpful. They lifted me to my feet, and my head was bleeding, and this man and this lady were very kind, and they helped stem the bleeding until the ambulance arrived.
Well, I hope you're well on the way to
Yeah, I hope
recovery
you're
now,
all right,
Jim, and
yeah.
well done to those people that helped you. So yes.
Yes, that's right. I'll be interested in the game tonight. I'm delighted to see Rob Elliott back. I thought he was a smashing keeper and did very well for us. And
Yeah.
I just hope he can pick up where he began. I've already discussed Perez with you, John.
Yes.
I always think that there's a smashing player in there somewhere, but you have difficulty finding him at times.
Yeah, yeah.
But he did score a good goal at Brighton, mind. So
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was a good finish. It was a good finish.
yes, that's right. I mean, Anita or Yedlin. I mean, I can't make my mind up, to be honest. But is Yedlin? Sorry, is it Anita away at the end of the season? Is his contract?
His contract's up at the end of the season. We haven't heard anything about contract negotiations and whether he's been offered a new deal or whatnot. You know, I think people look at Yedlin and think he's an awful lot quicker than Anita. There's no doubt about that. He likes to get forward a bit more. But I like Anita. I think Anita's a clever footballer. I think he's a good footballer. Uses the ball well. He picks his moments to get forward.
Yeah.
You know, where Yedlin wants to be on his bike all the time. So it'll be the Anita situation contract-wise. We don't know. You know, I think it's one of those where you watch this space and see what happens, whether they decide to offer him a contract or not.
That's right. Yeah, I know that Queen's Park Rangers, that they targeted Yedlin because they knew he liked to get up, and the equalising goal came from the left wing.
Yeah. I mean, they knew that he likes to bomb on, so every time they got it, they just kept knocking it in behind the space that he left. And it worked for them. It did work for them because obviously they drew here and they got a result out of it. But look, I would have no problems with either of them, to be quite honest. I think they both do a job. Different type of players. I think Anita gives you an awful lot more going forward. But I think Anita, Yedlin gives you more going forward. I think Anita's a little bit steadier. You know, I think he's a little bit more of a steadier player. But from an offensive point of view, from getting forward, Yedlin does give you that because he's got the pace to be able to get beyond people.
Yes, that's true. And what about Atsu, John?
Yeah.
You know, are Newcastle going to make any effort to sign him?
Well, again, you know, he's on loan and he hasn't played a great deal of football since he's been here. He's one or two substitute appearances, started the odd game here and there. He obviously started at Ipswich and he keeps his place tonight. But again, it'll be interesting to see if they try and make that deal permanent. I would have to say, I would have my doubts about that. You know, again, you would want to know how much Chelsea would want for him, but I would have my doubts whether they would want to try and make that a permanent deal or not.
I quite agree. We need to spend a significant amount of money, but we need to spend it on the right players.
Yes,
I mean, there's no point in getting another Slovan in. I mean,
yeah, I agree totally, Jim. You know, I think it's. We've got to spend money, but you've got to spend it wisely. You've got to get the right type of players in. You've got to get the right people in. You know, I'm sure they've already discussed it. I'm sure he knows the type of players that he wants to get in. I'm sure he knows the players he would like to get in. But wanting them is one thing. Actually getting them here, that's something completely different.
Jim, thank you very much for
Cheers, Jim.
phoning.
Hope you're okay.
BBC Newcastle. Yes, all the best with your recovery. Thanks very much to Simon Pride and Martin Smith as well for Total Sport. They'll be back tomorrow at 5:30 alongside John Anderson when we may be reacting to Newcastle United winning promotion to the Premier League. They will be a top-flight club again if they beat Preston North End here at St James's Park this evening. That's the only result that can secure promotion for Newcastle tonight. A draw means that promotion could be confirmed tomorrow, but only if Huddersfield fail to win their game in hand at Wolves. It could go down to Friday night's match at Cardiff. It could even go down to the final day of the season when Newcastle host Barnsley, but hopefully there won't be any final day drama and Newcastle can get the job done tonight by beating Simon Grayson's Preston North End, who come to Tyneside on a run of 3 straight championship defeats and in 11th spot in the table. You'll hear live commentary as always on BBC Newcastle. It's a 7:45 kick-off, and here is the Newcastle United starting 11. It shows 5 changes from the team that lined up against Ipswich at Portman Road a week ago. Rob Elliott starts in goal in place of Carl Darlow. Vernon Anita is in at right back. Jamal Lascelles plays at centre-half alongside the returning Kieran Clark, who has missed 6 matches with a medial knee ligament injury. Paul Dummett at left back. John Joe Shelvey and Isaac Hayden in central midfield. Matt Ritchie on the right, Ayose Perez in the hole, Christian Atsu on the left, and Alexander Mitrovic starts in attack. The Newcastle bench is Carl Darlow, DeAndre Yedlin, Chancellor Mbemba, Johan Gouffran, Mo Diarmi, Jack Colback and Daryl Murphy. And 5 changes at Ipswich last week. Ando surprised us, and I suppose 5 changes again here have surprised us once more. But I suppose you can understand 4 of them. But the goalkeeping one, as we've been discussing on BBC Newcastle, is interesting because, as you said a few minutes ago, it's not a position managers like to change. No. And Rob Elliott has really come from nowhere, having been on the bench for 2 or 3 months, to being given a start in Newcastle's biggest match of the season.
Yeah, you know, I think that's come as a bit of a shock. I think people will be looking at that and think, oof. But you would say that Darlow wasn't over convincing at Ipswich. I thought his kicking was poor. I thought his kicking was really poor. Now, whether they feel that he's lost a little bit of confidence, a little bit of self-belief, and they're just taking him out, I've got no problems with Rob Elliott coming in, because the times he's played, I don't think he's ever let us down. I think he was unlucky with his injury. You know, I think he was just establishing himself in the side here when he picked that injury up. So I got no problem with him coming into the side at all. I always thought Anita would come back in. Again, Clark, we spoke about Clark. You know, if Clark was fit, he was always going to play because he's been our best defender, best centre-back this season. Nice to see Atsu keeping his place. I think, you know, he just gives you a bit more going forward than Gouffran. And Mitrovic up top, because of his record against Preston this season, 4 goals in the 2 games, you always felt that he was going to get the nod, you know, because a little bit superstitious when it comes to things like that, managers. So yeah, you know, I have to say I didn't think he'd make 5 changes, but there you go.
Let's have a look at Preston, the visitors tonight. Chris Maxwell in goal, who has played a lot of non-league football for Wrexham and Cambridge, joined from Fleetwood last summer on a free transfer. At right back for Preston tonight, a player on loan from Everton, Tyus Browning, who is a 22-year-old, also got a little bit of experience of league football with Wigan. Then it's centre-half Andy Boyle, who made his Ireland debut last month as a substitute in the defeat by Iceland. He arrived at Preston in January from Dundalk. Preston are his first club outside of Ireland, and he is partnered by Paul Huntington, now 29 years of age. Came through Newcastle's academy, made his debut in 2006. Only 16 appearances for Newcastle before joining Leeds. He scored once for United, Paul Huntington. It was in a 3-2 victory at Spurs, and it was an equalising goal. There were a few good goals in that match, but that was his one and only goal for Newcastle. Paul Huntington, Carlisle born, been at Preston now for 5 years. And at left back, they've got a few injuries to defenders, Preston. So Tommy Spur, a left back who previously with Blackburn and Sheffield Wednesday, comes into the team. Then in midfield, some attacking options for Preston. On the right-hand side, Tom Barkhuizen, who came from Morecambe at the start of January, having signed a pre-contract agreement with Preston. He's been in fantastic form for them, got 6 goals in that time, and was the Championship Player of the Month for March. Aidan McGeady on the other side, Ando, someone you'll have seen a lot of for Ireland, nearly 90 caps for his country. He's on loan from Everton as well, the former Celtic player, somebody who will definitely carry a threat. In central midfield, Alan Brown, who was sent off here in the EFL Cup tie at the end of October. Paul Gallagher, formerly of Leicester and Blackburn, and scored a winning goal at St James's Park for Blackburn in December 2003. It had more than a little hint of handball about it, but he has personal success at St James's Park previously in his career. And Daniel Johnson, born in Jamaica, formerly of Aston Villa's academy. And up front, a northeast lad, Jordan Hugel from Teesside, has played Northern League football, then went to the Glen Hoddle Football Academy in Spain, earned a move to Port Vale. He had a prolific spell at Gateshead a few seasons ago when they got to Wembley, scored 5 in 7 at National League level, and then moved on to Preston 3 years ago. He's their top scorer with 12 goals. The Preston bench, Anders Lindegaard, formerly of Manchester United, the goalkeeper. Another former Manchester United player, Marnik Vermael, Belgian right back. Daryl Horgan, who, like the defender Andy Boyle, came from Dundalk in January. Jermaine Beckford, the striker, who has had a number of clubs in the Football League, now 33 years of age. Ben Pringle, Stevie May, Scottish international striker, and Callum Robinson, who has started regularly this season, scored 11 goals, but finds himself among the replacements tonight. Looking at the Preston team, and Owen, it is of course about what Newcastle do, and a win seals promotion, but McGeady and Barkhuizen probably the biggest threats.
Yeah, McGeady on his day. Just never know what you're going to get out of him, though. Blows very hot and cold. But he's got ability. You know, Paul Gallagher's a good player. Good from set pieces as well. Barkhuizen, as you say, Jordan Hugel scored a few goals for them as well. He's got a little bit of a physical presence about him as well, Hugel. But you look at it and you just think, you know, you got to be beating this side. You know, not being disrespectful to Preston, but you just think, you look at what's on the other team sheet and you think that Newcastle should have far too much fun.
7:45 kick-off at St James's Park. You'll hear the whole 90 minutes uninterrupted here on BBC Newcastle. 5 changes for United: Rob Elliott, Vernon Anita, Kieran Clark, Ayoze Perez and Alexander Mitrovic all come into the team. It's not quite a sellout. There are a limited number of tickets still on general sale, but I've been out and about around the ground and seeing what some of the supporters who are coming into the stadium tonight think of Newcastle's chances of securing promotion this evening.
They should do, yeah. Let's face it, they've had many a chance to be where they want to be, and Brighton have turned them over, and that's a bit of a worry. It'll be tense, but I'm sure they'll do it.
Are you a little bit disappointed that it's taken this long, given the lead Newcastle had at the top?
No, not at all. It's just the way football goes. You know, it's the big price to come to Newcastle and turn them over and go away with 3 points.
So, firstly, where have you come from?
Sweden.
And how long have you been supporting Newcastle?
Oh, since I was 6 years old, so it's like 24 years old.
How many times have you been here to St James's Park?
St James is the 3rd time, but it's the 5th time I've seen the team. So.
And if Newcastle win tonight, they will be promoted. Do you expect them to get the result they need?
Yeah, absolutely. Last time I was watching them, this was promoted from the Queen's Park.
I'm very confident. I think tonight we'll see maybe Mitrovic come show his place, yeah. And Richie.
We've beaten them twice before, so hoping for the best.
Obviously, Newcastle have had to wait a little while to confirm promotion. Are you a bit disappointed that Brighton have got there first and they may win the title?
No, not at all. I think the main focus is promotion. I like Chris Hughton, he's a great manager, and I think they've been a really good team this season, so congratulations to them.
Some of the thoughts of some supporters who were outside St James's Park a little earlier. Fair amount of confidence among the fans that we heard from there, and Owen. really, the odds are stacked in Newcastle's favour. A win tonight, but even if they don't win, they still have some room for error because Huddersfield could slip up. But even so, Newcastle still have 2 further matches to play. So, you know, you've always felt it's a question of when, and not if.
Yeah, I've always felt that we, you know, I've said all along that we would get promoted. I think we'll do it tonight. I think we'll beat Preston tonight. I really do. You know, I said earlier, you know, you look at that, you look at the 2 sides, and then, but if you can't beat this Preston side, then you think, well, you know, where are we going? You know, we really should be beating Preston here tonight, and not just beating them, but beating them comfortably as well. You know, it should be. We've beaten them already twice this season. We went to Deepdale, and to be fair, they put us under an awful lot of pressure. They made life difficult for us. And then, of course, the cup game here. Although you don't read a lot into that cup game because of it, they made 11 changes or what have you. We made a lot of changes that night as well. But we should really be beating this Preston side.
Let's hear now on BBC Newcastle from Isaac Hayden. He says United have to move on from their 3-1 defeat by Ipswich.
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing. Nobody was happy after the game with the way that we played and the way that the outcome was, but it's done now. We can't be focusing on any games from the past. We've got 3 big games coming up, and the most important one's Monday night, and that's the one that we're focusing on and preparing for, and that's the one that we have to win.
And I suppose as players you'll be looking to get yourselves back to the level that you played at against Leeds when everything was really fantastic, and a reminder of just how good you can be, and you are.
Yeah, I mean, the Leeds game was obviously one of the best games we've played this season in terms of chances created and intensity of our play, and that's exactly the way we're going to have to play against Preston. Obviously Preston aren't an easy team, we know that. They're going to come with the idea of obviously trying to do whatever their game plan might be, but it's up to us to execute our game plan and make sure that we get the 3 points.
How much of this stage of the season is mental and about the psychology of dealing with the pressure and the expectation and being on the verge of achieving your objective of promotion?
Yeah, you could say it's a mental thing, but I think that we've got a lot of big players and big characters in this squad that have been there and done it before, even at Premier League level. So I think that in terms of pressure-wise, I don't think we should feel too much pressure. We've got a good squad, we've got the best manager, and the best fans. So for me, everything's there. The platform's there for us. We just need to take it into Monday and perform as well as we can do.
How difficult is it not to pay attention to what's going on beneath you? Because as much as you can try to ignore it, people will want to talk to you about it. It will be everywhere in the news, and you can't really, I suppose, avoid those other results because you know the impact they can have on you.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be people talking about it, fans talking about it, whatever it may be. Obviously Huddersfield and Reading play on Saturday and we play on Monday, but it doesn't matter about Huddersfield or Reading or even Brighton, whatever it is. It doesn't matter about any other teams, because as long as we do our job and we perform to our best on Monday, and obviously the next games after that, then it doesn't take every other team out of the equation. We do our job, we get promoted. It's as simple as that.
What's been the response of the players in training this week? Have you been positive and upbeat and excited about what you can do on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, it's another opportunity to play football. You know, everyone wants to be playing on the big stage and in front of Sky and playing in big games that actually matter. You know, any professional footballer that doesn't want to play in those games shouldn't be playing. So for me, everyone's just been on the training pitch, positive and trying to do the right things, trying to learn what the manager wants from us, especially for Monday's game, and just trying to improve. You know, I come in every day, no matter whether we win, lose or draw, to try and improve as a player, and that's what we've been doing on the training pitch, and hopefully we'll take that into Monday.
And I guess this was why you came here, wasn't it? You wanted to be in this position, you wanted the excitement and the potential of having this kind of success. So in that sense, there's nothing to be afraid of, because this is what you were looking for. No,
I mean, I know I'm a young player, but I want to be the best player I can be, and I want to play in big matches and have my part to play in big parts of histories of football clubs, you know. And I've been lucky enough to get the opportunity to come to a massive football club like Newcastle United, and with the trust of and to earn the trust of a manager of the calibre of Rafa Benitez is fantastic. And this is what any young player should want, you know. You want to be playing in big games, in big atmospheres, and with big chances to obviously win things or get promotions, whatever it may be, and we've got an opportunity to do that. So I'm just excited more than nervous or anxious. You know, it's an exciting time, and it's just up to us to perform.
And finally, you talked about the atmosphere there. It was really good in the home match against Leeds. How important that you have that again against Preston, whether or not you can achieve promotion on Monday, but just to have the fans behind you like they always are at home, really trying to give the players that bit extra.
Yeah, the fans have been incredible this season. You know, they've travelled home and away, whether it's at home, or away. It's been fantastic, and they've been sell-out crowds away from home, things like that. And Monday night will be no different, and whether I'm starting, whether I'm on the bench, whatever it may be, I'll be there giving 110%. If I get the opportunity to play, it'll be 110% as I always do. If I don't, then I don't. But I'll be there supporting, doing whatever I can and trying to do the best that I can for the club.
BBC Newcastle Stories.
I never thought I'd see the day when Mo Farah, Haile Gebrselassie and Kenenisa Bekele are running together past Gateshead Stadium. Probably should have resigned that day, actually. Should have retired then.
His friend showed us where he was. He was screaming, me head.
Music. Life. Radio for the North East.
It'll be a cross by Ritchie. Sends it all the way around the back. Mitrovic has scored. It's as simple as you like. But the minute it left the boot of Matt Ritchie, you saw Alexander Mitrovic peeling round the back, and he's got the easiest job in the world. Just to head across and head beyond Anders Lindegaard. Now, what looked like an elbow. It's a red card. It's a red card for Alan Brown. Ritchie on halfway to find Diame. Ball slips to it. Mitrovic with Atsu close to him. Coming onto it. Diame! Well, Mohamed Diame. He's just put his right foot through it, and it is absolutely ripped into the bottom corner. Shelvey sets it on its way. Or it's a great ball for Mitrovic. Sets it up. Ritchie coming onto it. Thought about hitting it. Then goes down. It's a penalty kick. Yeah, it is definitely a penalty kick. Ritchie's going to take it. And Matt Ritchie scores. Roof of the net job. Real good penalty. Ball into the box. On his chest, Mitrovic leaves the player down. Now score. Now that is a very good goal. Now that is a very good goal by a centre forward. Newcastle, who have kept a clean sheet today, now going for Knapp. Going Knapp for 5. Diame, yes! Oh, what a goal. Diame, what a goal. Diame from distance. And all he's done there is he's caught the goalkeeper completely unawares. Here is Shelvey with the corner kick. It's nodded away from goal. Perez scores! Jose Perez. Newcastle go to half a dozen.
We knew that could be a tough game, but we started well. We scored the goal after the sending off, make a big difference for them. But we did what we have to do, play well and score goals and give our fans something to enjoy.
Live from St James's Park.
BBC Newcastle, radio for the North East.
And that was Newcastle's 6-0 win over Preston here in the EFL Cup at the end of October, described by Mick Lowes. Fairly comfortable scoreline in the end. Of course, they had a man sent off early on, but Mohamed Diame got his first Newcastle goals that night. It was, well, all in all, a great evening. Couldn't really have gone any better.
No, couldn't. No, as I say, we made a lot of changes that night. They made a lot of changes. The fact that they got the boys sent off, it didn't help their situation, but it was an emphatic win. It really was. But you'd settle for the same sort of scoreline tonight.
Yeah.
If you could do that, repeat that tonight, it'd be absolutely wonderful.
They went to Preston a few days later at Deepdale and won 2-1 in the league. Obviously, a different kind of test.
Yeah, and that was a more difficult game. To be fair to Preston, I thought they played quite well on the day. They put us under a lot of pressure, but we managed to come out the other side of that. But it's a depleted Preston side tonight. They've got injury problems. They've got defenders out. So can we make it a hat-trick? Yeah, most definitely. A hat-trick of wins against Preston. I don't see any reason in the world why we shouldn't.
Here's a reminder of the Newcastle United starting 11 tonight. Rob Elliott is in goal, his first appearance in over a year. Vernon Anita comes in at right full-back. Kieran Clark is back at centre-half alongside Jamal Lascelles, and Paul Dummett at left-back. Jonjo Shelvey and Isaac Hayden in central midfield. Matt Ritchie on the right-hand side, Christian Atsu on the left. Ayoze Perez starts in the hole behind Alexander Mitrovic, who comes in to the team. And the bench is Carl Darlow, DeAndre Yedlin, Chancellor Mbemba, Johan Gouffran, Jack Colback, Mo Diarmi and Daryl Murphy. Newcastle's players just heading back down the tunnel after completing their warm-up. Still the Preston team and substitutes being put through their paces by their coaching staff. We've talked obviously a lot about Jamal Lascelles in the last week, given the way the match at Ipswich went, and that in fact he didn't have a particularly comfortable afternoon. How much has he missed playing alongside somebody like Kieran Clark, who is an experienced international footballer, who has done very well in this league this season, made a difference to Newcastle's team when he's played, and I think that's been highlighted even more by how much they've missed him while he's been injured. Do you think Clark helps Lascelles settle down and in some ways makes Lascelles a more assured player?
You would have to say possibly yes, because since Clark's been out of the side, you would say that Lascelles' form has dipped. He hasn't been playing particularly well. Now, whether that's down to the fact that he's missed Clark, who has been our best defender this season, best centre-back by a long way. You know, and there's no doubt that since he's been out of the side, our form has dipped, our results have dipped as well. So it's good to have him back. He's probably a reassuring presence alongside Lascelles. Yeah, so I would think Lascelles is, yeah, you'd have to say, yeah, he has missed them because his form dipped when Clark hasn't been there.
And Rafa Benitez has chopped and changed because Mbemba came in, perhaps surprisingly, for a couple of matches. Grant Hanley's been tried as well, and now he's brought back the man who, like you say, has performed better than any other centre-half this season. So with Kieran Clark out, Rafa's looked for an alternative, and he hasn't been able to find a solution.
He hasn't. He obviously doesn't trust Mbemba. He obviously doesn't trust Hanley. He's obviously got faith in Lascelles because he made him a skipper and one thing and another. But Clark's been head and shoulders the best defender this season. There's no doubt he's been a big loss and a big miss when he hasn't been there. I think the results prove that as well. You know, since he's been out of the team, performances have dropped, results have dropped. So he has been a miss. But it's good to have him back, and I think once he was fit, he was always going to come straight back into the team. You know, he was always going to be one of the first names on the team sheet.
BBC Newcastle radio for the North East. Kick-off just a little over 10 minutes away. Newcastle United against Preston North End. Remember, 3 points will confirm Newcastle's promotion. A draw means the wait will go on a little longer. It could be decided tomorrow, but only if Huddersfield fail to win their game in hand at Wolves. Reading are 6 points behind Newcastle, but with a vastly inferior goal difference. It may well be decided on goal difference, but Newcastle can decide it for themselves mathematically by winning here against Preston North End this evening. It's a freezing cold night on Tyneside at 3 degrees at the moment. The sun is setting. We've had wind, we've had rain, we've had sunshine this afternoon, variable weather. The one thing that's been consistent is the fact that it's been cold. So if you're still listening to us in the car just approaching St James's Park, bring your hat, your scarf, your gloves, plenty of layers, because it's very cold. Not the kind of weather you expect for this time of the year or this time of the football season, right at the end of April. Only 3 matches to go. The final 2 will be games with nothing riding on them as far as promotion is concerned if Newcastle win tonight. But if they win tonight, they can still pip Brighton to the title. They could actually still do it if they get a draw tonight, but then they would only be able to win the league on goal difference. But it's funny, isn't it, Ando, that yes, we're assuming Newcastle will get promoted and they will win this evening, but all the disappointment from the fact they've gone from first with a lead of a few points over Brighton in the chasing pack to second, 7 points adrift of Chris Hughton's team. If they win their final 3 games or get 7 points, they can still be champions.
Yeah, can still win the league. I mean, obviously you need results to go our way. Of course you do. We need to go and win the last 3. You need Brighton to then lose games. Of course it would be nice to win the league. Of course it was. You would love to go up as champions. You know, nobody ever remembers who finishes runners up. So it would be nice to win the league. Do I see it happening? You never know. You never know. You know, I think Brighton achieved what they wanted to achieve by getting promotion. Have they still got the fire in their belly to be champions? I suppose time will tell. You know, they've got 2 games left. I think they've got 2 games left. But you know, you win tonight, and then you could put pressure on them again by winning a Cardiff on Friday night, and then all of a sudden there's a little bit of pressure on Brighton. It'd be interesting to see whether they can handle it or not. The one thing I would say about Brighton is that they bounce back very well from losing to us. You know, when we beat them in the last minute, I think the reaction after that was excellent. You know, they went on a run of winning games, got them back top of the table, and fair play to Chris Hughton. He's done an absolutely smashing job there, and he's a real good guy.
Just before we hear from Rafa Benitez on BBC Newcastle, just want to talk about the referee. Andrew Madley is the man in the middle tonight. Born in Huddersfield, brother of Bobby Madley, who Newcastle have had a few times in recent seasons, most recently at Brighton. A match between the top 2 at the time. Newcastle won it, but he gave what some felt was a soft penalty for Brighton, but a referee who, to be fair, hasn't gone on record with the team he supports. It is assumed by some to be Huddersfield because that's where he's born and his brother is a fan. But Andrew Madley, the man in the middle tonight, refereed the 4-1 win over Reading here in August and the 2-2 draw with Norwich. He also took charge of the 6-0 cup win over Preston. Any concern, any worry about the referee of the EFL? Maybe put the referee in a difficult position given his association with Huddersfield by giving him this match tonight?
No, I don't think so. Look at as you say, he refereed the 6-0 game. He sent the boy off. You know, I've got no problem with him being referee. You know, he's got to go and he's got to do the job to the best of his ability. The one thing you would say is that the majority of referees that we've seen in this division have been poor. You know, they've been all much of a muchness. They've all been very, very mediocre. Some of the decisions they make and some of the decisions they don't make, you've got to question. But look, he's got to go and he's got to do the job. I think people are reading a little bit too much into it. The fact that he's from Huddersfield or whatnot. I mean, what can he do? You know, what can he do? You know, if you go and you do the job properly and you score goals, there's not a great deal he can do about it.
Newcastle team: Elliott, Anita, Lascelles, Clark and Dummett, Shelvey and Hayden, Ritchie, Perez, Atsu and Mitrovic up top. 5 changes from last Monday. For Rafa Benitez, there's no point dwelling on the disappointment of the defeat by Ipswich.
I think everybody was upset after the game, so you don't like to lose, and you don't like to lose in this way. But the only thing that you can do is just move forward and start thinking about what can you improve for the future. In this case, we go back to Leeds and our performance against Leeds, the way that we were playing, the chances that we were creating, and the spirit of the team, and then try to replicate that against Preston. So our idea is to prepare the game properly. As always we try, but in this case, with the fans behind, with so many people cheering and supporting the team, I think that we will see a team with the intensity, with the commitment that we have seen during the majority of the games, and hopefully playing well and creating chances and scoring goals.
because the team was so good against Leeds and did almost everything right, were you left confused and almost wondering why things went so wrong against Ipswich just so soon after?
To be fair, we knew for some players just 3 days and going away, maybe it could be difficult to be 100% recovered in terms of physicality. Then when things are going wrong and you have players that maybe they are not at their best level, then you start suffering. Then after you see players that they were coming back from injuries and still they were not at the level that also we were expecting. So too many things against our mistakes. They put us under pressure.
running through, and that first touch I felt was a little bit heavy. Was there a split second there, an absolute split second, when Cech could have nailed the ball and Aguero? Was there just like a split second reaction where he didn't go?
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking that myself. What caused maybe the controversy is the heavy touch off Aguero. Now, he has took that heavy touch and he's just moved motions as if he's going to get after it. Now, I think what's caught him out is it's Aguero's pace. He's that quick that I agree with you. Maybe, you know, it wasn't a definite given that he was going to get there first. But I just think Cech, in his mind, is thinking, if I go there, it could be a penalty and it could be off. And I think that with Aguero's pace, he's just decided to hold back slightly, and then he's had to go again, and he's just lifted it over him. But I think the defining point in this is his pace, because if somebody wasn't as quick as he was, I think Cech would have got there fairly comfortably. But it was the pace. It was a heavy touch, and you think, yeah, you know, he's going to get off that. No, it was like almost like Michael Owen. Michael Owen just got goals like that, and he'd execute it in the same way as well. But what he does is he just catches people out, but you think, oh, I can get there, and then hang on a minute, oh my God, he's right on top of the ball, and I'm in a little bit of no man's land. I actually thought, you know, I thought that one myself, and I was kind of rewinding it and looking at it, and that it was a very difficult one for Cech there.
I think that's a really good point, that he's so experienced. He's thinking, if I do get there and I'm a fraction late and I take him out, we're a goal down and I'm off the pitch. So maybe we'll give him a great experience. Thought, well, I'll take this one, and you know, he came out the winner. So fair enough.
Just interesting. No, Tony, after you.
Yeah, and just, you know, interesting about Cech as well. I think he pretty much got saved the day against Yaya Toure. You know, Cech was on like the left hand, you know, slightly on the left hand side of his goal, and Toure hit that. He hit a volley, and he drove it into the ground just in front of Cech. Now, it was just desire. It was agility and desire to fling himself across that goal. And again, you know, probably with Cech being 6'6" and I'm like long limbs and levers that he's flung himself full stretch. He's got like the stitching on the end of his gloves, which has touched the ball, and he's just touched it onto the post, and it made a difference. If he hadn't got anything on that was a goal, and it made a difference, and it actually bounced back across him on the inside of the goal. So that just shows how much on the inside of the post it was. And luckily enough for Cech, it managed to get cleared. But for me, that was just pure quality. And you know, and especially in the environment that it was, you know, Wembley, semi-final, the FA Cup. It was superb, and like I think that's to give him kind of save the day on that one.
Fascinated to ask you, Tony, of course, former Liverpool player. Social media went into overdrive yesterday when Mamadou Sakho and Christian Benteke, one former Liverpool player, the other still, of course, at the club but on loan at Crystal Palace, came together to celebrate Benteke's goal. Overdrive, social media, they should never be celebrated, show respect. I've got no problem with it. Mamadou Sakho's got no future at Liverpool. Christian Benteke's at Crystal Palace. Now, what was your views on general players that choose whether to celebrate against former clubs or not? What was your kind of stance on it as a player?
My stance is you're not the club anymore, and just get on with it, because what you do is you show a little bit of disrespect for the team that you're playing. The fans have travelled and paid the money. You know, they're on fantastic wages, they're getting a lot of money. All this kind of put your hands down, like, you know, respect and all that. If they wanted you that much, they'd have kept you, and they'd put you on a 5-year contract on £200,000 a week, but they didn't. So they carted you off, and you're out of there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I look at it. So if you're not involved with that team, don't get me wrong, you have fond memories and all that, but, you know, you pull that jersey on.
You career their remaining games. Fascinating set of results on Saturday in regard to the playoffs. Leeds Reading third, Sheffield Wednesday fourth, Huddersfield fifth. They've got an extra game to play. It's Wolves tomorrow night. Fulham 6. 3 points between those 4 clubs. Leeds have let it go, haven't they?
Yeah. While Fulham's momentum is outstanding, isn't it? And I always kind of look at the playoff situation that mix up and who's going its momentum. That might necessarily be the side in third. Now, Fulham to go to Huddersfield to be comprehensive, to be clinical, to absolutely batter them. Let's be honest. Gives you a real insight into what could be to come in the playoffs, and how Fulham going into the matches in May might be the sign you'll be looking at the very situation in League One.
I haven't seen the reaction yet. Look online soon about whether the Leeds owner is said in the about yeah, but this is 4 points. I think it is for Leeds now. Leeds home to Norwich and away Wigan. Looking at the goal difference, they need to beat Norwich. Hope Fulham don't beat Brentford. 4 points to the last 18 for Leeds. Looks like wrecking their season. But by the way, such a damaging defeat for Leeds at Preston on Saturday. For Burton, that just about took them safe. to be a hero, vital win for Forest over the weekend, and they've got a 3-point cushion on the relegation place. Queen's Park Rangers have lost the last 6. They can mathematically still be relegated. They won't. Needs to be a strange set of results. Burton and Bristol, they're going to be safe and have to win. Hope. Talk Sports going to bring you live and exclusive national radio commentary. The Derby this Thursday. Back to momentum. From both Djokovic and Murray, we still don't really know what to expect. Both coming off those elbow injuries.
Further down the rankings.
And not just that, but we have to remember he had a bit of a bad start to 2016 as well. I mean, not in his personal life. He had his first child and was having obviously a wonderful time of it. But he didn't do well in the 2 American Masters tournaments, and it took him a little while to warm up. And the big part of keeping that world ranking isn't just winning tournaments, but it's retaining the points you've taken the previous year. So if he now doesn't go to Madrid and to Rome and get to the final of one and win the other, that's when we'll start to see his points tally start to drop. And so he's been lucky that it was the latter part of the year that was his positive part, and it'll be, if Djokovic suddenly comes into his stride over these next 2 tournaments, we could start to see him clamber his way back towards Murray.
Can I throw another name in, chaps? And this is up for discussion and debate. Arsene Wenger. Now, what a time of it he's had in recent months, but tactically, moving to 3 at the back, has worked brilliantly with 2 victories on the spin. He made strong, important substitutions. He had a big role to play at the weekend, and everything he's been through, a 3rd FA Cup final in 4 seasons, to continue to conduct himself, and you have to say, with everything going on around him in a very professional manner, I feel that if we're ever going to put Arsene Wenger in a magnificent 7, a Monday episode, there's not been a lot of opportunity to do that, Will, this season. Surely this is the time, isn't it?
There were a couple of players I had on my list. I thought Oxlade-Chamberlain in the wing-back role that he played. Rob Holding, who we've not seen a lot of since he signed, was very good. But I understand your point of